Welcome back, everybody. This is episode number 8 of the Attunement podcast with Harry and Samek. We did a deep research prompt about whether to do Harry and Samek or Samek and Harry, and it decided it's Harry and Samek. Let's go. And it's early. I'm literally moving out of St. Louis today. So we're both tired, but we're still out here. Can't stop, won't stop. And the experiment we're running today is listening to ourselves when we're speaking. So when I'm speaking, I'm going to listen to myself at the same time as I speak. And same thing for Samek. And anything else before we get into it, Samek?
Oh, I'm asking Harry first. And the first question I have for you is, what's something new you learned this week?
There's just, I don't know if this counts as an answer, but there's no way I'm not going to talk about this thing. No, this counts as learning something. So at the end of last podcast, I shared the Winnie the Pooh quotes. But if anyone didn't watch that, it's just quotes that deeply put me in touch with. There's so much simple beauty and meaning in everything. And you can just like look at your hand. And from that perspective, it's just like, wow. Just the absolute complexity in my hand. But also like the simple beauty of just like touching my hand. And one way I also say it is I want to be a squirrel the way a squirrel is a squirrel, except I'm hairy. And so this is the squirrel perspective. Maybe more naturally the dog perspective. And so I now have more easy access to looking at the world the way I imagine a dog might look at the world, which is just like, it's just like simply beautiful and there. I think you could also say this is like a connection to the divine mother and reality itself. It's just like, damn, those trees are really there for me right now. Like, thank you, trees. But just that for like everything. But it's way easier with nature for sure. So that's to be in that state and appreciate that state is what I learned.
How do you usually gain access to the state? Or is it just like noticing?
The way I usually happen to get into this state is something will be really beautiful in that like simple way. You're just like watching a cat like nap in the sun. And you're just like, damn. You're just like, damn. And then something will like touch me like that. Like it'll be that, but plus it will deeply touch me. And then I'll like, either my eyes will start to water, or I'll start to cry. And it's like, fuck, everything's so beautiful. Fuck. Oh my God. So that's how I usually happen to get into this state. And honestly, I would just say now it's like here, now sometimes or even often this week I'm in this state, but like I don't immediately start crying when I'm in it. It's just like, oh, wait, I'm not crying from like grief and joy and love. And like, I can see this.
Yeah, I think I've had similar experiences this week of like, I'm eating my bowl of yogurt with granola and fruits, and I'm just like looking at the sun reflect off of the yogurt, and I'm just like, whoa, this is so pretty. It's like such a simple thing, and there's so much beauty in it. And I feel like it was always there, but now it's like there's an aspect of like, oh wow, like there's an aspect of me, like emotionally, like being really into the beauty in the world.
And it makes me think of the Joe Hudson quote, which is like, every time your heart breaks, it increases your capacity to love. Because I was just thinking, like, for me, this thing is very often under grief. Or I might even say this thing like is grief. Like this is like the truest expression of grief, is what it feels like to me. It almost like embodies death or loss. It's like, damn, like literally. And also, you know, I'm literally moving out of the place I've been living for 6 months, and I'm leaving my roommates today, who I've been with for 3 months, and I just ended the support group that I've been running for 2 months. So lots of endings. So it makes a lot of sense that I'm in touch with this. But literally, I was in the car with my last car ride with my 2 roommates, and they went into some store to go do something, and I was sitting in the car eating Ritz crackers, and it was like right after sunset. So I'm just like in the car, and the windows are down, and the breeze is on me, and I just have a Ritz cracker in my hand, and I'm just looking at like the street light reflect on the Ritz cracker, and like looking out the window. I'm just like, damn. Just like, damn. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, there's like a flavor of sadness that's actually really sweet.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, you could call it bittersweet, but like only in the way you would call dark chocolate bittersweet, which is like, it fucking rocks.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. I'm gonna go over to you. What's most alive for you today?
Mm. Is something interesting has happened over the last year in terms of like noticing when I wake up. I usually like wake up pretty like feeling okay or like very much not feeling okay. But now like I'm noticing like the the subtleties of the different things that comes up right when I wake up. It's like my brain just got like shuffled, and then I wake up and I feel like the anger or like the grief or the sadness, and there's like this like package waiting for me right when I open my eyes. Um,
Whoa.
I'm always like surprised, and I'm always like, "Fuck, this is what it wants to be processed," and it's most easily accessible right when I open my eyes.
It's like a triggered part getting delivered to you. Is that roughly right?
Yeah, yeah. Um, And it's been the case like this whole week. This week has been really hard for me in terms of like I created like all this space from the retreat. I came out, and then all these parts that are hyper triggered in the shadow realm are coming up to say hi to me. And there's like multiple fucking shadow realm parts coming up and are like, "Hey, you're ready to process us. Remember me? I was there all the time. Remember me?" And I'm like, "Fuck. I do remember you. I don't want to see you right now. Fuck." So it's been a lot of that. And yeah, I think like shadow work always like kind of destabilize, and it doesn't destabilize me, but it makes me feel like life feels lucid in a really weird way. Um, so waking up and seeing like, right when I wake up, seeing what wants to be processed and it being so alive has been interesting. Yeah, it's like instead of like waking up and like, oh, I feel bad, it's like I wake up and I'm like, oh, there's anger in my fists and there's grief in my stomach and I want to cry. Fuck. That was like
Whoa.
yeah.
That's interesting. I usually, when I wake up, like sometimes I wake up and I just like have an insight right when I wake up. Like it's just like, here's the insight. I'm like, oh, thanks. I usually don't have that one. That sounds, it's kind of like, do you feel like you have more capacity or less capacity because it's right when you wake up?
That's a good question. If I had to guess, I would say more capacity.
Cool.
because it's right when I wake up. And usually, I just get to sit with it. Like, not this morning because I'm fucking straight into a call, but usually I get to sit with it for a little bit.
Got it.
That's always nice.
Cool. And I'm like, makes sense as a strategy by those parts.
Yeah.
The thing you said about shadow work being making reality feel lucid in a weird way, I definitely relate to that. And this week, I just started intuitively doing this little thing with projections, which you know about, but I'm going to tell everyone else, which is like, I'm like, oh, I'm projecting. Like if I intellectually look at Samek, it's like, oh, he's just here. Like he's just present with me. And then it's like, oh, I feel the threat of someone judging me. And there doesn't seem to be anyone in this room judging me. And it's like, okay, so I'm probably projecting something. I don't know what it is, but I'm going to take it. I'm just going to like put it over here. And then I'm like, oh, now that it's over there, it's like, oh yeah, that is my older brother when I was a kid. And then I look back here, I'm like, oh, that is just Samek. And then I'm like, oh, now I feel more present, but I'm like less in my standard ego or standard mask. And so I feel the vulnerability of like being myself, but not being my traditional ego that I'm familiar with. I'm being myself more, but I'm in a less familiar way of being, because I'm being myself more than I normally am. And then it's like, wait, everything feels more real, but it also feels more unfamiliar. And then I'm just like here and I'm like, whoa, this is interesting. And I'm scared and everything's better and I'm really scared. And this is really vulnerable, but what's even vulnerable? Just me existing in this state. Yeah.
Yeah. It goes back to like, it feels like walking into a bigger room.
Ooh.
The experience. And it's like, whoa, this feels better, but it feels so unfamiliar. Oh my God, what is this? That's like the experience.
I'm almost like, what if I like walked into my old bedroom? Like, what if I walked into my bedroom the next day and it was like slightly bigger? I was like, well, I definitely prefer this, but why the fuck is my bedroom bigger? Like, what? Like, yeah.
Yeah, I was so I was watching The Matrix, like the first Matrix movie with a friend of mine, and we had like a really deep view conversation, like an inquiry conversation, like a week before around control. So it was a classic, like, he's like, I have fucking control, I have so much control. And I'm like, do you have control? Control your next 10 thoughts right now. And he's like, fuck, I don't have control. So then he was like, I don't have control, but I have control, but I don't have control, but I don't have control. And then we're watching the Matrix movie, and then the spoon scene comes up. And the spoon scene is like, there's this kid who's like bending a spoon with his mind. And then Neo is like, oh, how'd you do that? It's like, there is no spoon. There is just you. It's like, don't try to bend the spoon. There is no spoon. Only come to realize the truth, is like what the kid says. And then I look at my friend and he looks at me and I'm like, there is no spoon. And he's like, fuck, there is no spoon. And then I was talking to him about like control and then not control. It's like both of those realities of like, I have control and I have no control. Both of those realities are kind of false. Like the actual reality is like bigger than both. And it feels kind of sussy. Like it's like a bigger room. It feels weird to like let go of that story of I have control. But it does feel better. And the story of I have control actually feels really bad, even if it gives you this false sense of safety. So as we're watching the movie together, every once in a while I would look at him and he's like, I'm still thinking about spoon. And then we'd go back to the movie. And when he described the experience of letting go of spoon, he's like, imagine like he's under like a little cardboard box of control, and he like opens the box and he's in this boundless space and he's like,
Mm.
oh, this is scary. And then you can put the box back on of him. And I would say like even like the shadow work stuff, it's like when I let go a little bit of the, I would say like the what right now what's coming up for me most strongly is like the narcissism parts of like I'm special, I'm amazing, I actually don't need anyone because I'm actually special, and I don't need friends because I'm myself. Boom.
Bang. Let's go.
But those parts are like 6 years old and like freaking the fuck out and like fighting off a shit ton of loneliness. So then when I let it go, it's like, whoa, it got way bigger and my narcissism went away. But then it's like, fuck, the room got way bigger. And I've had this like protective narcissism special part since I was 6 years old. So then it's like really uncomfortably unfamiliar territory. So then I put the box back in and I'm like, wait, this box is really uncomfortable, but it feels kind of safe.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anything else?
Not in this part.
Dang. I'll go back to you. What's I'm curious, yeah, what's most alive for you right now?
I'm reminding us both of listening to ourselves, just sinking more in that. What's most alive for me right now? Oh, I'm it's kind of a similar feeling to what you were just talking about, but I'm going to, and let me know if you can hear the people cutting grass in the background. I'm going to earth dance. You can look up earthdance.net if you want to see it. But I'm going to live and volunteer at a contact improv retreat center at a hippie dance retreat center eco village thing, which in a bunch of ways I'm excited about, especially intellectually. But the most alive thing for me is like, I'm just scared. And especially, I mean, mostly I'm just scared. Like I could analyze why, but like mostly I'm just scared to be in a group of new people who are not exactly like me. And yeah.
Yeah. I think like what comes up when you share that is like the Zen retreat experience. It's like that place is gonna have its own culture with its own roots and its own boundaries. And you don't know them. So probably cross them and people will be mad at you, and hopefully the culture is good enough where they draw the boundary instead of staying mad at you.
Yeah.
And the fear is like, I'm outside the culture. I don't know what the culture is. So that like makes complete sense.
Yeah. It's I like the outside inside thing. It's almost like the fastest way inside is to just like let yourself make people mad so that they set boundaries with you, so then you know what people are okay with it and not okay with it instead of walking on eggshells. And I've explained broccoli errors before, but it's basically the quicker version this time is oh no, what if I like broccoli, then I'm going to eat a lot of broccoli, and I don't like broccoli, so that's bad. And it's right now for me, it's kind of like, oh no, what if I'm okay with having people get mad at me, then people will get mad at me, and that's bad. Yeah.
I didn't think about it like that, but definitely. Like I think I mentioned it last week, but when someone gets mad at you and sets a boundary, even if it's not a clean one, and you're not feeling like I'm not feeling safe because there's no boundaries, it immediately makes me feel so much safer. So I'm like curious about, what is the fastest way to attune to a new culture, a new container when you are definitely outside of it?
I'm just going to close my window real quick.
And I'll keep you guys entertained. No, I
keeping everyone entertained. It worked. Well, I just want to, like, there's any theory I could come up with, but what's my experience? What's a new, okay, that's a new culture I've been in. Yeah, it is kind of just to like, okay, this connects to another thing that's alive for me, so I'm gonna go here. Um, so I'm actually just gonna talk about this thing first, and then we'll come back to the question, which is, there's this, I guess, like spiritual teaching set of teachings, which is Rod Burbea's soul making Dharma. And I really like it a lot for a million reasons. I also know very little about it. Like, I really just know the summary. So you're getting the summary of the summary, just know that. But what I've gotten out of it is, and especially it helps me with like the way I relate to God or higher power or the sacred. And he has like many principles. He has many principles of basically how to relate to the sacred, I would say, or the soulful. And the soulful being that which like imbues reality with deep meaning or like a feeling of magic. And I think he's so good at clearly, one, at integrating head and heart, but two, at walking this line of like not real, not just real, not real, but not imaginary. And that's kind of how I relate to God. It's like, I'm not actually claiming God literally exists, but it's like, oh, so you mean God just as a metaphor? And it's like, not really. And another way he says that is discovered and created, which you can think of also as in like Jungian collective unconscious archetypes. But it's like my image of God is both created by me and discovered by me. Like, you know, has true properties that I would expect anyone's God to have, or at least many people's God to have, or at least many people's this flavor of God to have, and like properties that are just related to me. And another way he points at that thing is like, there's always this relationship, right? Like, by perceiving this imaginal being, in this instance God, like we are creating each other, like we are already dancing together. Me and you are creating each other in this moment. Partially. So that's to say I have a new imaginal being, which I'm embarrassed to say, but I'm enjoying. I have a new imaginal being I like that I've discovered and created, which is like, if you guys have seen that meme of the LLM green tendril monster, and if you haven't, just imagine like a big green kind of squid like earth creature alien thing, and then it like has a million eyes, but it just has like a little smiley face mask like that covers like 5% of its body. And my imaginal being is like that, and it's over like 18 different dimensions of reality. And like if Harry tries to cross 18 dimensions of reality, he like glitches out, and it's like super jagged, and it's super jagged and disorienting and like ripping your mind apart. But this being just like literally vibes across like 18 dimensions, like that's just his natural state of being. And he's just like cool. And he doesn't really say anything. He's just like yeah. So that's actually my answer to you, which is the fastest way for me to attune to a new culture is to just pull up and like channel that imaginal being and just like be in 18 dimensions at once and like not need to say anything, and just like is kind of a really deep observation in it, but it's not like a observing like a scientist. It's observing like that guy, like just straight chilling. It's kind of like a tree. Like if I think about a tree living over like 200 years and having like a different conception of time. Like if I imagine a tree having a nonlinear conception of time, it's like how I imagine a tree to be. Just like sitting there in like 18 different moments.
Not like the entire time you talked about it, you're just like,
it feels so, I can't tell you how correct this feels. This hand position. Yeah.
Rediscovering tree.
Yeah. Redriving trees.
He's like, there's this creature in the collective unconscious. His name is Tree.
I did maybe just redrive tree. But it has allowed me to see it more clearly discovered and created. Yeah.
And so I feel like there's like the Samek that's like kind of really quiet and like observing and who doesn't fully feel safe in an environment. And there's a Samek that's just chilling. He's like, oh yeah, this is a new place. And I feel like the chilling, stable, observing Samek is a lot better at accumulating and assimilating into a new culture than the kind of scared trying to figure out like what this is Samek.
Yeah. And connecting both of those, like I'll probably be doing a bunch of contact improv, which is like quite an intimate and intense form of dance with other people. And the thing I'm scared I will do, which I might do some of, is like, oh, everyone's dancing, I should dance. I need to start doing the thing people are doing. And then there's like another thing I can do, which is like, oh, I'm just gonna like, I don't want to dance right now. This is too scary. I'm just gonna sit on the wall and like observe until I want to move. And then like, oh, like I want to stand up and I want to literally stand with my hands like this and just like sway back and forth, but like I don't want to dance with anyone. And like, can I just like let that keep happening? Yeah.
It's like I'll be a tree swaying back and forth in the dance floor, getting the vibes, absorbing it, giving energy, getting the field, seeing the boundaries till I feel safe enough to join. It sounds really nice. Anything else there for you?
Nah, that's sufficient. I'll go back to you. Let's see. I feel like I'm not supposed to ask this, so I'm going to, which is, and if you don't want to answer this, feel free to turn it into whatever you want to turn it into. But it's, what is something in the spiritual landscape that's so dumb? Like there's something you understand now, and they all taught it to you wrong and dumb. And oh my God, I can't believe they taught it to you like that. Jesus Christ, why did they teach it like that? What comes up, if anything?
Well, I feel like there's a lot of things like that. And I'm having a hard time coming up with an example right now. In the spiritual landscape.
I want to add the seed of like Pablo. Like something you've learned from Pablo. Which is just our friend.
Yeah, honestly, it's like it goes back, like me and Pablo talked about the Matrix a lot. And he's like, I feel like Neo, dude. And like everyone's asleep and I'm just out here rewriting my reality every time I see. He does this thing which is crazy, which is like you describe or you do something that he likes, or describe a behavior that he wants, and he just like, okay, I'm gonna download that, and then he downloads it, and then he changes like in a matter of a day, and I'm like, what the fuck? What the fuck did you just do? And there's an aspect of like realizing emptiness, or like the Robert Bea, like seeing that's free. It's like, oh yeah, everything created in reality is like a reification of reality and abstraction. And once you're able to see through the layers of reification to a certain extent, you can actually make reality however you want that still works with the rules of actual reality.
There is no spoon.
There is no spoon. Exactly. There's no fucking spoon. They're just realizing the truth. And once you realize the truth, you can, the truth is really fucking flexible. That's the fucking truth. And I think the thing that I was always missing is you're taught to realize, if you go to any Buddhist tradition, you're taught to realize emptiness through like 3 marks in the Theravada tradition, fucking staring at a wall in Zazen in the Mahayana traditions. And I don't know what the Vajrayana people do, but there's, or like fucking imagine a deity, become the god, your ego dissolves, boom, the god dissolves, and emptiness, boom. And I feel like I am really mad that it took until AOA to get all the emotional components to it, because it's like, I really like the phrasing. Like emotions are the thing that holds the stories in place. So if you have any stories, the reason they're being held, like the narcissism part, is being held together by my helplessness, loneliness, and sadness. So
I would say specifically by the repression of those is what I assume you're saying. Yeah, cool.
Yeah, the repression of those emotions are holding the story of like, it's like I'm special and I don't need anyone. That's, I would say, like how narcissism usually works. And also like, I don't have to feel my feelings. Those are like the things that comes up when I think of narcissism. And it's like the path of progress in spirituality that comes when you have more emotional fluidity than just like seeing through your stories over and over again. I feel like that, like both of those just happen automatically as you gain emotional fluidity, because it's like emotions just start moving quicker when you don't have a story attached to them. And as you're doing like a lot of these emotional inquiries or feeling your emotions without trying to think of the stories start falling apart, and you start realizing the reification, like the nature of reality, the nature of truth on its own. So, so there's a lot of like aspects regarding Buddhism where it feels like convolutedly, like I'm going to go to the source, which is emptiness, but it's so much easier to just go layer by layer and smoother and faster in realizing the same truth, instead of like going to the fucking like the nugget of emptiness that is Buddhism.
So I get the vibe, but I didn't get specifically that last part, which is something like allowing emotions to move feels like you're getting way closer to like this wellspring of source of emptiness, rather than just like intellectually deconstructing something and then being like, I got you, nugget of emptiness.
Yeah, I mean, both work, but the thing is, like, as you're deconstructing reality, using like Vipassana or any Buddhist techniques, you're going to have to, you're gonna get fucked, because all the shadow parts are, it's like hiding under your layer of bullshit. As you're like getting rid of the bullshit to get to emptiness, all that stuff is gonna come up anyways, and it's gonna be really destabilizing and kind of like fucking up your life. Like when I went to the Zen retreat, and this whole week is like, fuck, now I have to deal with all the shit that's gonna come up because my understanding of emptiness just increased, like my awakening just increased. But I guess like there's like the 2 charts of like awakening versus liberation that Shamil talks about. I think Dr. Shamil, who talks about like the Bayesian brain theory. Mm-hmm. And liberation is like freeing yourself from limiting beliefs. And then awakening is realizing emptiness. And there's an aspect of, just like doing that work of like emotional fluidity, and also like having the right stories there to help you realize like liberation, I feel like is such a smooth and beautiful and better path than realizing emptiness. But as I say that, I'm like, this is also a story and it's also bullshit. So like everyone is on their own path. I think that's another thing me and Pablo talked about, which is like everyone's on their own path and they're all doing their own thing. And it's like, it does feel like a massive jump of narcissism, like lack of
Wait,
humility.
I gotta hop in here.
Go for it.
I gotta hop in here because I have too many thoughts. Okay, snakeskin. I'm already losing them. Okay, snakeskin, healthy ego, and there's a third one, but that one's gone. So I was reading a lot of Daniel Thorson, Substack writer on spirituality this week, and what you just said about like, right, you're gonna clear this shit away when you dissect reality, when you deconstruct reality. The emotions are gonna come up, and it's helpful to have a framework around how to relate to those emotions, because otherwise you're just getting like punched in the face and the gut and the side of the ribs by like anger and grief and depression, and you don't know what's fucking going on because all they told you was to deconstruct reality, and now you're feeling all this crazy shit, and now there's a 4-year-old part of you and you're like, what, why am I having a memory, why am I remembering something I never remembered before from when I was 4? What's happening? What is happening?
Yep.
And they're like, just keep looking at the wall. And you're like, what? Okay. And one, I just love how the Art of Accomplishment, Joe Hudson podcast on identity and ego is so good. And I just love how I would say like the new age vibe is just destroy your ego. Have no ego. And the thing Joe Hudson says is like, well, if you're speaking, you have an ego. Like you need to model yourself in order to speak, especially in order to speak to another person. So when in the moments when you do actually have like no ego, like you can't speak. So if you're speaking, you have an ego. But the question isn't how do you destroy your ego? The question is how do you have the ego that supports you in being the person you want to be? Or how do you have a flexible but also structured ego or identity or personality that leads to living the life you want with enjoyment and ease? And so, right, the thing you said, everything's a story. The thing you just said was a story, but it's a story that sounds like more flexible and a structure that's more aligned with the truth. That's probably going to make you feel more free and like become more who you want to be or who you truly are with more ease and enjoyment. So like, fuck yeah. And then 2, reading Daniel Thorson, back to that, he had like a big spiritual crisis, like, right, his ego, his emotional repression, in my understanding, it built up and it built up and it built up. Or like a certain section of it built up and built up, even if he was making tons of spiritual progress over here. And then it all fucking collapsed. And then he couldn't speak for like 2 weeks or a month. And he was like completely debilitated for like around 6 months. And then out of that, the phoenix rose and he was reborn and transformed. And so I feel that he writes with a little bit too much of this perspective that's like, you need to let it all come crashing fucking down. And I'm like, well, that definitely can happen, right? So many spiritual traditions have a dark night of the soul. Like, I'm sure that's common and maybe even likely and a useful thing to maybe even expect and be ready for and maybe even surrender to. And another Substack writer who I really like, Elena Lake, who's a body worker, she wrote something that was like, I expect that if we go more layer by layer and enjoy the whole process and metabolize the whole process, this is much more like shedding a snake skin than it is like an identity crisis where everything breaks and then everything is reborn and it's absolutely crazy and destabilizing. And yeah, that feels important to me, because it makes me think of my first Vipassana retreat where like they're like, just feel the pain in your body, and then it like expands over my whole body, and now I'm like feeling random shit and I have no idea what's going on, and like I feel like things feel unbearable, but I'm bearing it. And they're like, good job. And I'm like, what? When it like could have just been like, oh, okay, like you're too triggered right now. Like actually just go do IFS for an hour and then come back and meditate when you actually want to. Like it could have been shedding a snakeskin 10 times, but instead it was like build up, build up, build up, build up, shatter the building. And then, ooh, look, a little tree grows after we shattered the building. It's like, we just didn't need to do that. Like, that just did not need to happen. Like, we could have done that. We could have gone up and down, like the economy. But instead, like, we need a fucking recession. And it's like,
I'm thinking about like video games. It's like, oh yeah, like kill the level 1 bosses.
yeah.
Level 2, then a level 3, then a level 4. And then it goes up. It does get more difficult, but you have more tools. Instead of going to like, you're sneaking into the level 100 boss room when you're like level 2 and you're like, what is that? It's like, I think like the Matrix is such a good example. It's like the stronger Neo gets, the stronger Agent Smith gets. So like in the later on movies, it's like Neo's just getting stronger and stronger and stronger, and then Agent Smith is getting stronger and stronger and stronger because Agent Smith is the thing in the Matrix that's there to protect the reality. So the stronger you are, the more you're breaking the rules of your own reality. Like the fundamental rules, the stronger the parts of you that are going to come up to help protect that reality that's keeping you quote unquote safe. And yeah, there's an aspect of like, you can fucking like fucking go to the level 100 boss room and like try your best, keep doing that level 1 punches until it's dead. Yeah. Or you can like actually level up to the extent where when you're facing the level 100 boss, you're also level 100 and you can use your mental ninjutsu and like kapow, kill the boss in like a few days instead of like, I don't even know what the fuck happens in spiritual traditions, or like it's like years of staring at the wall.
Exactly, dude. Staring at a wall is such a good example of being level 1 and trying to fight the level 100 boss. It's like someone's telling you to beat Dark Souls and they're like, yeah, the best way to get better is just go to the final boss and die 10,000 times for 600 hours. And then at the end of that, you'll know everything you need to know. It's like, you're right. And that's a terrible path. Like that will work. And like, oh my God, what an awful path. Jesus Christ.
That's so zen for you. They call that the path of joyful ease, by the way. They also call it.
I mean, and we have to end soon. So the last thing I'll say on my end is something I've appreciated this week is just like, right, Zen or whatever it is. I'm going to say Taoism. Like that shit was written like 2,000 years ago, 2,000 plus years ago in a literal different hemisphere of the world. Like, and then we just like take it and we put it today and we expect it to like have the same impact. And this idea is also, I think, from Daniel Thorson, if I remember correctly. But it's like, what the fuck? It's like, no, it's like the cultural context is so different and the way we relate to reality is so different. Like maybe when they created that, maybe that was the path of joyful ease. Maybe that fucking rocked. But for our minds and our culture, that sucks.
Yeah.
And yeah, so the path of joyful ease has to be adapted to who we are today. Yeah.
Dang. I think that's it. I'm gonna end it there. That was a beautiful ending. And I will say it like I usually do. Thank you all for watching. We'll continue doing this for as long as we enjoy it.
That's our promise to you. Thanks for listening, everybody.